The telecom industry has been in the spotlight this year. Vodafone's sale of its 45% stake in Verizon Wireless is already ranking as one of the biggest deals in corporate history, valued 130 billion US dollars. What are the main trends across Central and Eastern Europe? Will this transaction of Vodafone-Verizon impact at all the market in Central and Eastern Europe?
Well, the 113 billion translate roughly into half, so 60 billion, which will remain on Vodafone's balance sheet. There's a lot of money which basically is going to be deployed in the next months or years to come from Vodafone. In parallel, you have non-European players who appeared in the last 12 months. I would just raise América Móvil, which acquired KPN in parts of Telekom Austria. And there might be another one perhaps coming in the next 12 to 24 months. There's capital flowing into Europe. And it's not just flowing into Western Europe, but it's flowing into Central and Eastern Europe as well. So there will be an impact also of such a deal, as remote as it sounds, because basically capital will be deployed either in additional investment in networks or basically in acquisitions and M&A.
And can you be a little bit more specific in terms of regions? Because Central and Eastern Europe is very broad, from the Baltics to the Balkans.
True.
Where do you actually see activity? Also because Poland is a market which is expected to consolidate pretty soon.
Well, we see two big trends, consolidation and convergence. Only a year and a half ago, basically, Austria was the first to go from 4 to 3 market players. Then Ireland followed. Now it's the turn of Germany. Question then is, of course, obviously for bigger markets like Poland, is there similar rationale? Of course, there's similar rationale in the sense that consolidation brings forward economies of scale and should improve results, while at the same time keeping a competitive level and consumers satisfied. So we're going to see consolidation happen in other markets in the region. Which ones? I wouldn't be too specific currently, but basically Poland, we all know there's been a long-running discussion. Let us see where this leads to.
So there is pressure for consolidation from the local players, from new entrants, but also from private equity investors. So we've seen quite a lot of activity of private equity. Across the board, the private equity activity has doubled in Central and Eastern Europe since last year. In the telecom sector specifically, private equity are proving to be very competitive. What exactly are they targeting in terms of assets?
Well, they're basically trying to replicate the strategy which worked for some private equity houses in other more developed markets. Although I wouldn't say that CEE is less developed, especially in telecoms, it's actually very often ahead of Western Europe because it skipped some legacy networks, so it basically skipped some technologies which didn't work anyhow. But what I meant with this replication of strategies is, for example, cable worked very well for some investors. We've now seen Vodafone buying Kabel Deutschland in Germany, and some other cable companies consolidating, like UPC buying basically Virgin, actually, in the UK. And in all these companies, private equity was invested, went out at very high returns, and they're now seeing, okay, that's a good story, it worked, we can do the same thing in other markets, and there's some targets in CE now where basically cable is available.
And do you see any issues in terms of antitrust for the local players to consolidate even further the market? Or do you think this will lead to opportunities for new entrants, like we were thinking of the Middle Eastern players like Etisalat, Asian players coming into Europe? Do you actually see new entrants in the market because of possible antitrust issues from the largest players in Europe?
I don't think that the trigger is antitrust issues for new entrants to come to Europe, be this now from the Americas or from Asia or Arab countries. It's more about valuation. Europe is very low currently, it's undervalued versus any other market, so it looks like good bargains. That would be the main reason for one or the other newcomer to enter into Europe. And at the same time, they see the opportunity that with their capital, they can consolidate a very fragmented market and become one of, who knows, probably 4 to 5 big players in Europe. And I think this is going to be the outcome, and they will try to participate in this consolidation game.
And finally, Telekom Austria.
Yeah.
What is your strategy going forward? I know you can be very specific, but you are going to be a consolidator. What sort of game are you going to play then next year?
Well, as I said earlier, we're one of the first markets where basically 4 to 3 players went through. It was also approved by the European Union. We participated in this one. Consolidation is something which we clearly believe in. That is the first pillar of our M&A strategy. The second one is about convergence. We started rather early, 4 years ago already, to buy cable and broadband assets in markets where the markets were ready. Especially in Croatia, this has brought us a lot of success on the market and some additional dynamics, and these are 2 things we firmly believe in. We need to consolidate and we need to offer something convergent, and this is what we'll do also in the future.
Roland Haidner of Telekom Austria, M&A Director, thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.